What's up, y'all? It is your girl, Sarah from Sarah Styles here. I am going to show you my March numbers from reselling on various different platforms and talk about how the pandemic has affected my business and what I am going to be doing to combat that and make sure to keep my income flowing. So stay tuned. Thank you so much for joining. If you are new here, I am a reseller on various different platforms, and then I also focus on data analytics for the reseller here on my YouTube channel, and then also on my Instagram. I have 2 dashboards for sale, more to come, so make sure to subscribe and follow me to learn more. But 2 dashboards, one to help resellers look at their sales and figure out what is working for them to hit their monetary goals, and then also to look at their inventory to source smarter and not harder. Links for all of that is down below. I am currently doing a 50% off sale because we're all stuck in home right now. What better time to look at your data, figure out what is working for you, and make some strategic business plans, and maybe even pivot your business strategy a little bit to make it through these hard times. So links for all of that is down below. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notifications if you are not already a subscriber. If you are, welcome back, and thanks for joining me today. Today, this video, I am going to look at my sales for March, how they were, how the pandemic has affected them, what I think is going on. So this video, I usually share a little bit about the economy, and then I show my sales dashboard about how my sales are split out across different platforms, strategies that were working. I talk about what I was doing, and then what I'm going to do moving forward. I am going to note that I usually bring in a economic data little chart, but there's a lag on it, and I'm not actually going to look at it this month because due to the lag, we would be looking at probably January or February data. And a lot has happened in March. So what was going on in February isn't necessarily what is happening in March. I do like to talk about the economy, especially right now, but in general, there's things that are happening in the economy that can affect your sales, affect your business, and outside of what you're doing. So it's always good to keep an eye on that, especially right now. So I am going to know a little bit about what's going on. If you're not aware, there's a lot of stay-at-home orders, and this is causing havoc on the economy. There was a stimulus that came out a couple weeks ago, and that actually, so the stock market crashed a couple weeks, all in March. So the stock market crashed, which is like a huge indicator that like things are going bonkers. And essentially, people are staying home now. They're losing their jobs. The last projection that I saw was 30 million job losses, or a projected 30 million job losses. However, I would venture to say that number is higher. When I looked this morning, 10 million people in the US filed for unemployment in the last 2 weeks. That's ridiculous. And that's just the people that filed. Here in Colorado, I have friends that have been trying to file for weeks, and they're not able to get into the system because it is so backlogged and there's so many people in it. I have a friend who works in the unemployment office in Rhode Island, and she's putting in like 80 plus hours a week trying to get everyone. So I think that number is probably going to increase a lot. The stimulus has improved, which was helpful. Once that was approved, things have stabilized a little bit, but I do think that we are not out of the water yet. There's a lot of projections out there. I'm not going to get into all of that because that's not the purpose of this channel, but this is going to be a long-ish term thing. We're not talking about an economic recovery anytime soon. We have to get a handle on what is happening with the coronavirus right now. And right now, I mean, the president has said at least for the next 30 days, he is recommending staying inside. Each state is able to take it to where they want. With that, here in Colorado, our governor just said last night, I think it was, and when you're watching this, it's probably a couple days ago now by the time I get it uploaded, but schools are out until the end of April, and he honestly does not see them coming back for the rest of the year. So this is something that is going to be going on for a while. Things are changing, and even when we do get out of this, we will have a new normal. Now, that does not mean that your business is done and that you just stop doing what you're doing. It means that you can pivot and change and try and make strategic choices about what you're doing and how you're doing it. People are still buying. I think the stimulus helped. People have a little bit of safety there. There's talk about them approving another stimulus. So people are still buying and they can't go shopping in stores. So there are a lot of strategic, as an online e-commerce reseller, there are things that you can be doing to still stay in business. Yeah, maybe your business isn't going to be what it was, but maybe this is a time for you to change and learn and grow and learn new things to keep your business afloat. So that is my little spiel on the economy. Definitely keep an eye out on that. Like I said, things are going to be growing and changing, and we're not going to be recovering, in the next week. This is going to be a long-term thing, but that does not mean that you have to quit your business. I want to get into how my finances, how my business did during all of this. I'm going to note as well, so on top of this all happening in the world, and I'm fortunate that I can stay and work from home. So as far as that went, not a lot has changed there. However, I can no longer be sourcing at thrift stores. So I'm trying to figure out what to do about that. The other thing that happened for me in March that is going to have effects on my numbers, we decided before all of this happened, interest rates have been really low. So we decided to start looking into selling our house and purchasing a new house. The housing market here in Colorado, specifically Denver Metro, has been really good. We could sell our house for a lot, get enough for a down payment, a really hefty down payment on a new, bigger house. As I am now taking up our family room, my two little kids share a room, and they're getting a bit older to where they're wanting a little bit more privacy. And so before all of this happened, interest rates were low. We decided to start looking at selling our house. And as we were doing that, the pandemic was kind of evolving and whatever. And 2 days before we started looking for houses and we started getting our house ready to sell, which means I was not working as much. I probably worked a third of the time that I normally work because of selling and listing a house. We had to go through, and just to get it listed, we had to go through and get everything boxed and packed and put in the garage so it looked nice and spacious without all of our kids' stuff everywhere. So that was a full weekend that I spent doing that instead of working. And then we spent a lot of time, we spent 2 or 3 weekends going out and looking at houses. Weekends are the meat of where I am really working, because I do have kids, especially now that my kids are at home. I'm not able to work as much during the day. I really heavily rely, and I'm not able to have a sitter anymore or go to the gym. And so my hours working were significantly decreased because of all of those factors, from buying and selling a house. From now, I'm not able to get childcare anywhere else than when my husband is not working. Previously, I would go to the gym. Grandma would help. I have a sitter who helps. So I was not working as much. I would say I worked at half, if not less than half, of what the time that I usually work. So that is probably the biggest indicator of my numbers and what is happening in my data. So let's go ahead and look at it. So if you have watched this video before, I like to share my financial workbook with you. This one is not for sale. This is something that I have built personally. That's a lie. My husband built this one. He's a finance guy. I'm more numbers. He knows more about finance. And this one isn't even exactly what he wants. He's going to rebuild one, hopefully sometime soon. But so this is the financial workbook. This one is not for sale, but I do want to show it so that you guys can kind of see financially how I'm doing for the month. And then I will get into the sales dashboard. After this video, I usually release a what sold, and then I go through my inventory, the items that sold, the top brands, top categories, and then show actual items. So make sure to keep an eye out on my YouTube as well. Subscribe and get notifications of when that one comes out as well. So let's get into okay, so this is my financial workbook, and what I want to note here, there's a lot going on here, and mainly because I wasn't working. I purchased 3 items the last day of March, and those 3 items I purchased online actually from Poshmark. I did a live about online sourcing because now we cannot go out shopping. So I went on and found a couple things, 3 Coach purses on Poshmark, and purchased those. Those are the only items that I have purchased for the month. And I'm also not, and that was because we are moving. We were getting our house ready to move, and we are actually moving now. So I'm not buying inventory to move to a new house. I will start working on purchasing new inventory when we get in the new house. So my items bought are 97% less than I normally buy because I was not sourcing this month. I'm kicking myself a little bit because now stores are closed and I can't go out sourcing. I'll talk about some strategies that I'm doing there as well. Items sold, I sold 36% less items than normal. I'm gonna say I have noticed, and I've been talking to a lot of people, watching some big YouTubers, sales kind of when the stock market crashed and before the stimulus and everyone was really kind of freaking out before the stay home mandates were being put into place. I think there was a lot of anxiety in the nation. And so people weren't spending. That week and a half, I think sales were down. Everyone that I'm talking to, as long as they are doing business as normal, their sales are mostly similar to what they've been in the past. And I'm noticing that as well. This past week, I have been doing more or less the same amount of time that I normally do, and I'm getting roughly around the same amount of sales that I normally get. My sales were down because I was moving, I was packing, I was working half of the amount of time that I normally work, thus that showed in my sales. I'm also going to say I really did a big push this month for YouTube to get monetized, which yay, I got monetized. But I was cranking out almost a video a day on YouTube for probably a week and a half, which takes, making a video, it takes probably 2 to 4 hours, depending on what type of video it is. If there's a lot of editing and screenshots and stuff being put into it, it takes that much time, which is also time that was being taken away from my reselling business. So based off of all of that, 36% less items really is not that bad. Something I do want to talk about, my average sale price is up compared to average. So these are numbers, these are my March numbers compared to last year's average. My average sale price is up, and this is something that I've been working on, is increasing my average sale price so that when I'm not able to work as much or something happens, my items that are selling higher so that I'm making more money. And then my average item cost, those are all down because I didn't spend that much. Etsy revenue is up, which is great. So Etsy, that is the majority of that. I think maybe I sold 1 or 2 vintage items on Etsy. The majority of that is going to be from dashboard purchases, which for me, my business strategy, that's really nice because building the dashboard is a lot of upfront work. It does take a lot of time and energy to build the dashboard, make all of the calculations, make sure that it works for all different scenarios. It is a lot of upfront work, but once the product is out there, it's very low maintenance. I continue to promote it and support it. That's a couple hours a week, sometimes more a week to support it. But once it is out there, I'm not having to package, I'm not having to list, it's out there, it is done. So that's kind of a nice constant source of revenue for me, and having that being up is nice. eBay is up compared to average, which is nice. I am slowly, steadily noticing as I am consistent on eBay. I've said this in the past, eBay is like a, what do you call it? A long-term relationship where you really have to kind of put the time and energy into it to see results. And I'm noticing that as I am more consistent on there, I am trying to list on there every single day and then go in there and, change some listings and do something to auction and change some free shipping and, kind of spending some time, a half hour to an hour in eBay every single day, being active in there. And I'm noticing a result with that as well. My eBay items are up. The shipping and fees, I get billed on the 15th, and so we're looking at the complete month. This data is not necessarily, it's true, but it's not a true picture of what's happening because I won't get the end of March fees until the middle of April because of the way that eBay bills. You don't pay the fees until, once a month on your invoice. So that, for the purpose of this video, that's not relevant. other net revenue, this is Poshmark and then also any other platforms that I sold on. If you've been following me, you know that I try to diversify and reach out to different platforms. I'm on Etsy, Tradesies, eBay, and Poshmark. I made one sale on Tradesies. The thing with Tradesies is you don't get paid for 30 days. So the sale that I made is actually not in this because I have not got paid yet. The nice thing about it was only one sale, but the nice thing is it was a full price sale. They bought it, I shipped it, it was done. There was no low best offer, there was no low balling. They just purchased it. And I'm noticing the exact same thing happens with Etsy. People are just purchasing things. There's not this offer and low balls and all of that. So I do like that. However, it does not bring in the majority of my sales. eBay and Posh are still, and I'll get into that data in a minute, still the majority of my sales. So why I'm showing you this and what I think is really important for me and something that was helpful, my sales revenue is actually up 3%. Even though I sold 36% less items, my total sales revenue is up 3%, and that's because I'm diversifying my income. I am bringing in dashboard sales, and I'm also taking my reseller items to various different platforms. So I'm actually increasing my sales revenue even though I am selling less items, and then also increasing my average sale price is causing that to happen. So while I was selling less items and things were down, my sales revenue was up. And then I do want to note that inventory expenses and marketing, having them be in the green 77%, means that I was spending that much less on all of those items. That was because I was not working and because I was not sourcing. I bought 3 items at the end of the month. I had very little expenses. And this is not something that you can do long term. I obviously need to continue to purchase inventory for my business. But when things are tight and you really need to make that money, a way that you can make sure that you're bringing more take home is to really look at your expenses. Make sure the inventory that you're purchasing is inventory that is going to make you money, as inventory that is going to sell. You lower your inventory costs and your total take home, my net income is 74% higher than it was on average last year. And that's mainly because I had no inventory costs. Like I said, that is not a long-term plan. You are going to run out of inventory, but that's something that you can keep in mind. How can you cut expenses to make sure that you are bringing more money home when sales aren't as good? So that is my financial data. All right, that's my net income. And I just want to show this graph really quickly because it shows my total revenue. If you've watched me, you've seen this chart numerous times. You can tell when I started to use my data to make decisions for my business. It was right here. And you can see the increase in my sales. This is my total revenue. This is my net income. And something I want, and why I wanted to show you this. So I bought a computer. That was like the majority of my money for the month. Expenses, you have to have a computer. So I had to purchase it, but that's something, look at your numbers, look at your business. How can you bring home money that you need? What things can you cut but still keep your business going? But I wanted to show my March net income compared to the rest of, almost over a year ago. My net income is still significantly higher than most other months because I had no expenses. Like I said, this is not a long-term business plan by any means, but it did help me bring in net income to help pay some of the bills and things that we use my income for. So now I want to get into the sales dashboard. This dashboard is the sales dashboard for purchase. And I'm going to start on there we go. This is the sales dashboard that you can purchase on Etsy. It is a copy and paste from Poshmark, and then you can also enter in your custom data if you sell on other platforms. So this is going to break out my items sold by platform. And what this is telling me, I've been contemplating, and the data is going to tell me what I should do, and I'm going to follow it. I branched out. My average sale price was high. I did a analysis on Poshmark data. The average sale price on Poshmark is like $25 or less. I've been watching a daily refinement. He's awesome, great content if you guys want to follow him over there. But he's saying similar average sale prices on eBay as well. And so I was like, well, maybe some of these other platforms are better markets for my higher average sale price things, which is why I've gone to Tradesies. You will see I have no Tradesies in here because I sold one item and I sold it and I haven't got the money from it yet. So it is not in here. I'm not going to cut it out yet. You have to give it time, but I'm leaning more towards being very knowledgeable in 2 or 3 platforms and just leaving it there. But these are my items sold by platform and then my revenue by platform. Like I said, Etsy is mainly the dashboard. eBay is slowly growing. I think this percent is down from my previous year, but it is definitely slowly becoming a larger piece of the chunk. Poshmark is the largest piece of the chunk for me right now. I understand Poshmark really well on how to kind of manipulate the algorithm to get sales. And so Poshmark is definitely my main one. I am working on learning eBay better to increase these as well so that my total sales revenue will increase. Average sold price by platform. And this is interesting. If you followed me in the past, eBay has always been much higher. And that's because I was only posting eBay items to eBay if they were $50 and higher. So that was the only option, was for it to be higher. Because eBay recently, this past couple of weeks, they gave 50,000 free listings to all store holders, which I really love that they did that. They are out there trying to support small businesses and keep us afloat. So I am putting everything, that's what I've been working on this month because I've not been outsourcing. I have no new inventory. I am working on getting all of my Poshmark 700 and something items over to eBay, but that means that my lower price items are now going over to eBay, and you can see that my average sale price has gone down. So $28, $33. And these average sale prices are a little bit lower than I actually prefer, and they're a little bit lower than my normal average sale price. This is for a couple of reasons. I was not working a lot this month. And so if I got an offer, I took it because I was not working. I was not massaging the platforms, pleasing the algorithms to be getting a lot of exposure. And so if someone was going to offer me something, I took almost every single offer. Now, those were probably a little bit lower than I could have gotten in months past. The other thing, we are moving. I don't want to move a bunch of stale inventory. So I have been sending out really low offers for items on stale inventory, things that I've had for a while, stuff that I'm sick of looking at because I just don't want to move it. And then also on eBay, I've been sending stuff to auction. Although I don't think I'm making, only a couple things I've sold at auction, but those sell lower as well. Etsy, this is mainly the dashboard. Although I will say the items that sell on Etsy do sell higher because people are buying them flat out. People who are looking for vintage know the value of vintage on Etsy. My daily Tuesday is my highest day. And it's because of this one right here. I don't know what happened that day. I think it was maybe a bundle or something, but this kind of just shows you my deal. Bundles and offer to likes, things that I'm currently doing. So if you've watched me in the past, I recently just did an offer to like video. It's on my channel. You can check that out. But I did a group deep dive. If you have the dashboard, you have access to the Facebook user group, and once a month we do a group deep dive where you do an anonymous survey using your data, you submit it to me, and I kind of do a high level analysis on everything. And in February we did a deep dive for offer to likes. And what came out of that was, as you go up in your average sale price, you are less likely to get people accepting offer to likes, right? People are more willing to, especially right away, people are more willing to spontaneously accept an offer on something for $10, $15, right? If someone's like, oh, here's an offer for $10, you're more willing to be like, okay, like I can spend $10. If you're offering, 10% off of a $100 item, people that are purchasing $100 items are, waiting till they get paid, really thinking about, do they want to spend that $100? So I tend to have more higher average sale price items. So my current offer to like strategy based off of this analysis that I did is I go through and I look. If it's a low price item, I send out an offer right away, being as soon as I see it. I'm not on my phone to do it 10 to 15 minutes after. And then I am sending out offers once a week on Fridays, on payday, going into the weekend. That seems to be working well for me as well. My offer to like is lower than I like to see it. However, that is because I'm getting rid of a lot of that sale inventory because we're moving in. I don't want to be moving a bunch of inventory. My bundles is down lower than it's been in the past, and that's because, so in the past I do a bundle strategy where I, after every single person someone likes, I send them a little note, hey, I'm offering a free item with a bundle, blah, 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 blah. Well, I didn't work a whole lot this month, so I was not doing that, and you can see that in my bundle. Shipping discounts, I only offer a shipping discount when I have to. So that's the same as offer to likes. Customers, I have no repeat customers. I did absolutely nothing to try and get repeat customers. So that's why that is. By state, this one's just really interesting, and you will see it when you watch my inventory dashboard or my inventory video that I'll release after this one. But up here, they like vintage, and vintage is continuously one of my top selling items. California, Texas, and Florida are the largest states, so that makes sense that they have a large amount of purchases there. But I always think it's interesting that up in here I get a lot of sales as well because people up there like vintage. So something that's interesting with this, one, is just interesting to know and looking at your inventory, but then also, I'm in Colorado. So time zone wise, I'm kind of in the middle, but if you're on the East Coast and a lot of your inventory sells better on the West Coast, think about when you're sharing, think about when you're sending your offers, think about when you're active on the app. If you are here and you're, doing things when you first get up in the morning, these people are still sleeping. If you're wanting to get them right away or share your closet, wait a couple hours. Think about lunchtime. When is the lunchtime on the West Coast going to be? Going to bed. I mean, don't stay up ridiculously late, but maybe sharing your closet a little bit later if you sell a lot on the West Coast, and vice versa, right? That is the data. What does it mean? What's happening? What am I going to do? What am I going to change? So, first of all, the pandemic that is happening, I think it is affecting things, and I think it'll continue to as people are unemployed and more people are becoming unemployed. However, I don't think that it was the main driver in my sales for the month. I think the main driver in my sales for the month is I wasn't working. And if you don't work in this business, you're not going to see results. You have to put in the time to see results, and I just wasn't doing it. I was doing other ventures. Also, the one thing I forgot to mention too is I'm working on a new dashboard. So a lot of my time was gone when I was working was going to YouTube and creating a new dashboard. And so there was very little time on Poshmark, on eBay, and all of those. So that is why my sales were down. Now, the pandemic probably had a little bit to do with that, especially, during the stock market crash and before the stimulus came out and before the stay home kind of orders came out. I think probably there was a little effect there. However, I have been putting in the time in the past week, and my sales are a little down, but mostly where they've been previous months. So I think that's really good news. Do I think that that's probably going to continue to be the case? Honestly, I don't know. You have to just watch and see what's going on. Try things. Keep the consistency. I think a lot of the issue too is a lot of people have kids at home, so I'm not able to put in as much time as I was able to before. I now have 3 children at home who are remote learning. My oldest is on the spectrum and has learning disabilities, so it's not, hey, go to your room and do your schoolwork for the day. He needs a lot of help and support in doing it. So my work hours are less, and I think that's the case for a lot of other people. Their work hours are less. The other thing that I think might happen as well is people are home now, people are cleaning out closets, people are losing their jobs. We might start seeing a little bit more competition of people saying, hey, I can be a reseller now too, and getting into the game of reselling. So you might start to see a little bit more competition, people willing, that will likely drive down prices because they don't no comps. They don't really care. If someone is going to offer them $10, that's $10 more than they had an hour ago, and they're not bringing in an income, they will take it. So that is something that you have to keep an eye on. If prices are going down and these quote unquote low ball offers continue to come in, the market is changing. Keep an eye on it and change with it and do strategies that are going to work for you. I think that's all that I had. Oh, cross posting. So because I am not, this is the main thing that I'm doing right now and will continue to do, cross posting. I have no inventory, no new inventory. I didn't shop at all this month. Stores are closed right now. We are moving. So I'm not purchasing, I'm not going to start online sourcing or finding other sourcing options because we're moving. Once we move, we're moving at the end of the April. Depending on what's happening with stores, I may start sourcing again. So because I have no new inventory, I am working on getting all of my Poshmark items over to eBay. And like I said, that's probably another 300 items. So that will take me some time to do. But doing that, cross-posting and relisting, I did a video a couple days ago about how I do it using List Perfectly. Cross-posting and relisting is still keeping continuous activity, and I have like 700 items. So I'm not going to run out of inventory anytime soon. That is my plan, and you can see based off of my cross-posting data, Poshmark and eBay are the meat of my business, and then also Etsy. So I will continue to do that. I did just recently get monetized on YouTube. If you're not aware, once you hit, there's certain criteria that says, okay, people actually care about your content, so many subscribers and so much watch time, YouTube allows you to get monetized and play, ads before and during your videos. That will help provide a little bit of extra income for me as well. It is not a lot when you are starting off. So, I mean, from what I've read, it's going to be like $1 to $5 a video. So not a ton of extra money, but that is money that I didn't have before and something that I can do at home while I cannot be outsourcing. So I will probably start working on some YouTube content, maybe being on here a little bit more as well. Things that I can do. I can't be outsourcing, but that doesn't mean I have to stop my business. I'm looking at different strategies and different ways to continue to bring in income. I think diversifying is a great strategy right now. Think of a skill that you have and how can you monetize that. That is it. Big picture. My sales were absolutely down. However, my net revenue or my net income was not down because I didn't spend any money this month. So I was still able to kind of keep that going. Stay tuned, subscribe, hit the notifications. The next video is going to be inventory. I will go over my inventory dashboard, top categories, top brands, and then show you the actual items that sold. So let me know how you guys did. How were your sales? What are you noticing this month? Did you notice a decrease in sales? Were you staying consistent as well? Because I think a lot of people, their kids are home now, so they weren't able to be doing what they've done in the past. So let me know what you guys are noticing. This is just one piece of the picture. I am not the end all be all. I'm just showing you what I look at and what my data looks at. Share with me what was working for you and what you guys are going to do in the future as this thing evolves. So I hope everyone has a great day and is staying sane and safe in whatever capacity is best for you and your family.